So I'm Angel. Obviously, I'm a Vertical reviewer. I've been watching Vertical since 2023.
Okay.
I've seen over 2,500. I stopped counting after 2,500 because I was like, I'm tired of counting. I'm a single mom and I'm an Army veteran, and I kind of just do this for fun now.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah. I actually started with Vertical World back in 2023. Um, and I did about 5 of them and then ended up working a artistic management job for a theater that took me out of the circuit for about a year to a year and a half. And when I returned, I saw that the entire industry had just grown everywhere. So it doesn't surprise me that you've seen 2,500. It's amazing that there's that many out there, but there really are.
Mm-hmm. I try and watch all of them,
Mhm.
just to give the perspective and the view on them.
Mhm.
Not just the view, but like let people know, like, hey, this is heavy on this, or this will
Mhm.
cause this. Since I am a veteran, I have PTSD, and I've seen a lot in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
from like the veteran side, the abusive marriage side.
Mhm.
So it's easy for me to put like trigger warnings out there for everybody.
And that's vital. That is vital. A lot of these play off of certain tropes. And in my own life, I was a fight coordinator for years. Um, and so there's a certain understanding that violence can tell a story when it's used as a storytelling tool. But violence just for the sake of violence doesn't serve anything. Doesn't,
Yeah.
further the story. Doesn't, it's not necessarily fun, you know. Um, yeah. So I get what you're saying.
A lot of us see that too. I think we
Hmm.
just started a petition to change things.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard about it.
All from my little review group, my Vertical View crew.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There's like 10 of us, and we all just review verticals and
Hmm.
put them
Yeah.
out there.
Well, I'm sure that the clients do follow, and if they don't, they should. That way, they can stay more in tune with their audience and actually provide the content that they want to see.
Hmm.
So,
I think so.
yay.
So you've been in roughly 20, maybe more?
It's somewhere over 25.
Okay.
There's about 23 or 24 listed on my IMDb, but there's at least 5 or 6 that are missing. Actually, a few current ones that are missing. I can't find them.
Hmm.
Sometimes they change the titles and names of them, so they're hard to find. And what I do is, like, with some of I've got some really close friends that usually play the leading roles, and I can usually find them through them, and I can't find them on theirs either. So um, they're out there, but they haven't necessarily hit IMDb, so it's difficult to track down.
Okay. How did you get into like acting and then into the vertical world?
Acting was kind of a part of it from the beginning. From the beginning, from the beginning of my life. Um, when I grew up in like a really small town in Western Kentucky, and it was me and my mom. You know, a single mom. We were lucky that my grandparents on her side lived in the same town, and my grandfather was a radio engineer, and he had built a small radio station, and then he bought it from the people that he built it for, so he could raise his family in that small town. So I grew up in the radio station. Like, some of my first words were broadcast on the air, and he was just incredible. He was amazing, and I get it from him, and my mom got it from him as well. Um, but at the time, just the nature of where we were growing up in a small town, I was a small, sickly little child. She really couldn't get out and pursue some of those dreams that she did have. And that's why she was always so supportive of me when we pretty much all knew that I was going to leave the town, and I was probably going to New York, Los Angeles, somewhere. That was a part of my process. And it was a few years after I had been in New York, had gotten my training, or a lot of my training, and returned back to Western Kentucky. I was doing a show at a little playhouse near where my family was from, and my folks came out to see it. And my granddad talked to me afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I worry about you. I want you to have something to fall back on, but you need to do this. You're happy, you know."
Mhm.
Um, So yeah, he was all on board after that. His advice was, you're going into this. It's an unsteady field, so you need to do something. Have a side career, something that could be more stable, something that you could definitely always work in. So I think you need to look at film directing.
I mean,
It's like, Granddad, that's not okay. You know what? All right, yeah, sure. I'll look into a side job that's so easy to get a job in, directing film.
he was just trying to be supportive.
He was so good, and that's how I look at it. He started in radio back when there weren't radios, weren't radio stations. Him and his family literally built them and then ran them. That's why I was like, oh yeah, I get it. If you kind of created the industry you're working in, yeah, I guess you're gonna have a job. But yeah, that was that. Um, Process right out of high school, went to New York. That's where I trained. Started off working all over the city. Had a fantastic time. Loved it. After a few years, I went home for a little bit. Then I went down to Florida, and that's where I started working in themed entertainment, theme parks. And I got to work with the major ones. I guarantee you, well, I haven't been in theme parks for about 8, 9 years now. But if you had gone to the parks anywhere from, say, 2005, let's say 2007 to 2012, you probably have a photo with me.
Okay.
Yep.
So your first role was in The Double Life of My Billionaire Husband as the dad, George Quinn, correct?
That was my second role.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So your first role was Ethel in Faded to My Forbidden Alpha.
Faded to My Forbidden Alpha.
How'd you get that role?
We used several different resources. At that time, I was using a website called Actors Access, and a listing came across, and I think it was actually still titled Faded to My Forbidden Alpha. I submitted for it, and there wasn't like a lot of information on the breakdown, so I thought it was like a short film. It was called what do they call it? A mobisode. So I was like, maybe like, flash mob, webisode, something like that. So maybe it's a YouTube kind of thing. But I thought it was like a Sons of Anarchy spinoff, because they were talking about alphas and during the battles, with this pack, they kidnapped my daughter and we got to get revenge. I'm like, oh, this is like a Sons of Anarchy. This is cool. All right, yeah. That's how I did the audition. Got lucky. They hired me. And then they started asking for like 3-piece suits and like this like really, fancy costuming. And I was like, must be the courtroom scene maybe. I don't know. And I got to set. It was a house. It was really cool. And that's where I first met Casey Esser. And we're sitting there talking, and I'm like, do you have any idea what's going on? He's like, yeah, but it's called mobisodes, like mobile episodes. I was like, oh, okay. That's when we found out it was like app based on a platform. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I have no idea. And then finally he goes, hey man, did you realize we're werewolves? We're what? Yeah, we're werewolves. Oh, okay. At the time when they had sent the script, I never got the full script. I got my sides, so I was missing vital information. That was a piece of the information I was missing. Oh, all right. Well, okay. So I'm a werewolf. That's you know what? Cool. Let's do this. And it was an incredible experience. Working with Casey was magnificent. That was his first vertical as well. And he was.
It was my first vertical.
Yep. But it was incredible. Yeah, just a great experience. Director was fantastic. The client, the production company was wonderful. It was a truly wonderful experience. So the next one that showed up was that I got cast in was The Secret Life of My Billionaire Husband. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. Am I a werewolf again? All right. But got cast in that and got to play a comic role. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Once again, wonderful work with Jared Harper, with Molly, with the others, just wonderful performers, wonderful cast and crew. I did at least 2 more, I think 3 more after that in pretty quick succession. one where I met Alexandra Watts on her first. And once again, we're still good friends. She was incredible in that. Ethan Kirchbaum, who's now out on a national tour with I think Wicked. Um, yeah, just wonderful. We all kind of bonded. That was when the format was still finding its place, and we were sort of figuring out how what the audiences wanted, what they expected from us, because we talk about like different acting styles for different genres. How acting on stage is different than acting on film, and acting on a large stage different than a small stage. What they expect when they tune in for the internet shows, soap opera versus feature film. And the truth is, they're all really the same style, just the way you kind of carve it out, the way you tailor it towards the medium or the viewer. In film, oftentimes the viewer is the camera, if you think of it that way. So it's very up close. They catch like the micro expressions and such. And so we were kind of starting to figure that out. And I can remember specifically on, I forgot the name of the one with Ethan and Alexandra. We had one very heavy emotional scene, and I was kind of excited for it. I was like, "Hey, I got some, this is some meaty writing we've actually got here. Okay, let's pull out all the stops. Let's really, lay into it." And we did. And I remember the look on both Alexandra and Ethan's face when we really got into the meat of it, and that spark kind of went off in their eyes. They're like, "Oh, we're doing this, aren't we? We're doing this." And I was like, "Yeah, baby. Yeah, we're doing this. Let's do it." And I think that's possibly why that one is also one of my favorites, and I think why it did so well. We didn't shortchange the medium. We didn't shortchange our fans. We brought our best work. So yay!
The Reborn Wife's Redemption.
That's it. Reborn Wife's Redemption. That was it.
I don't remember all of them, but I remember
Yep.
most of them. Some of the, over 2,500. You're bound to forget a couple.
Yep. That one started as a different title as well, and then it became Reborn Wife's Redemption. Yep.
Okay. You've worked with multiple leads, actresses and actors. Is there anyone you haven't worked with that you'd like to work with, or someone you'd like to work with again that you've only worked with once, maybe twice?
I actually spoke to Casey just 2 days ago, and we would love to work with each other again. I absolutely think the world of him. He actually, when I was doing a stage show in Anaheim, he came out to see the show, and support me there, which was incredible. He's a business owner in town, so whenever he had a grand opening, I tried to go and support him for that. I think the world of him, not just as a performer, but as a human being.
He's a stand guy. I met him in person. I had an interview with him, but I met him in person. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and he's earnest, man.
Much the same way in person as he is on screen.
Yeah, yep. He has worked very hard for the gifts that have come his way, and he has earned them. And I'm immensely proud of the man. Dying to work with Alexander again. So many of them I've worked with just once, and I'd love to get back to. Recently worked with Ryan Vincent, and he was just wonderful to work with. Him and oh my God, I just blanked on her name. Yes, yep. But she was incredible as well, and we had so much fun on that set. That was finally my first comedy in like a year and a half of doing verticals. And the director was wonderful. Grace really let us improv. It was amazing that we saw that Camille and my improv, a lot of that ended up in the final cut, and I think it brought a different element than what was expected. What was written on the page was kind of like what many of the verticals do: two parents arguing at their kids and being mean. And there was one line change in it, and I was talking to Camille, and I was like, "Hey, here's an idea. What if all of this anger and all this kind of bitchiness they're doing at him, what if it's just like dad jokes and fun? What if the parents are just totally into each other, and that's why they want him out?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I can work with that." And she did, and she absolutely brought it. She was this amazing Morticia Adams sexpot of a mother and wife, and it was incredible. And the best part is because now what we were saying was to embarrass him as opposed to demean him. And you could see it on Ryan's face, and Shauna's face as well. Um, because yeah, oftentimes we would do a scene multiple times, but we would deliver a different punchline almost every time, or just slightly different, just to see what kind of natural reaction we could get. So they were incredible to work with, and that openness to being able to play. One, they came in, they knew their lines, they knew their job, so that gave us the playground we needed to play.
Okay. You said you took some time off. What have you seen change since when you first started Verticals in 2023 to how they are now and how they run now?
The industry-wide, more people have gotten involved. It's become more of a legitimate genre. When it first started, it felt very gimmicky to us, but we didn't know what it was. But I think every new platform feels that way. Like when they first started doing YouTube videos, and TikTok and things from that first, it started off feeling gimmicky. And then somewhere along the course, you're like, oh, no, wait, this is like a legitimate form of entertainment. Oh, I see where this can go. And I honestly believe that with every form of entertainment. Anytime something new emerges, at first it's kind of cool, kind of chic, kind of gimmicky, and then after a while it's like, no, I think we're onto something here. So I've seen it grow, as far as not just the fan base, but industry respect and the way actors look at it, the way crew looks at it, the way producers are now looking at it. Some of them, yeah, are looking at it just as cash cow. Yeah. Some of them are looking at it as an art form. And when you start blending those two, that's when you really start getting good product. I've seen um, a recreation of the classic movie studio system, Hollywood system, whereas some of the platforms have actors under contract where they are exclusive to that platform, which was very much the old studio system. I'm hoping that as that grows, they will include their supporting cast as a part of that, because right now it's really just focused on the leads. And right now the age group for the leads is a very narrow age group. And I'm hoping they do expand that. Part of that, I'm not going to lie, is a little selfish. I would love to take a larger role, to take a stronger role in telling the story, the narrative, a leading role. But also my age bracket right now, that's very far and few between. Even on stories where they do age gap, they've what I have seen is that they will still hire someone in their early 30s and just put a small streak of gray in their hair.
Okay.
One of the things I have seen changed, I'm timid to talk about it, but it's something that does need to be discussed. Pay scales, and what I've seen as far as rates for supporting is they've been decreasing, and a part of that is to pay the leads more and more. Now, the leads have a tremendous weight on their shoulders. They carry the film. They also shoot 25 pages in a day. However, what I have seen on sets is when you have supporting casts come in that, some of them might be new, some of them may not be that committed, some of them, they show up not really knowing their lines or have set etiquette. It really can harm the day of filming. It can set us behind. It doesn't support your leads the way you should. And I've seen other leads come in, or other supporting actors come in that are top notch. You know, they know their lines, they know the format, they know set etiquette, and they're in and out within one or two takes unless something technical happens. And they can also support the leads as the leads are having to jumble this mass weight of lines and scenes and everything else. They're there and they do the job of supporting. But I've also seen all of our rates start to take a nosedive. And I'm hoping that as things balance out, I would never want anyone to make less money. In other words, I'm not saying, to start cutting the leads pay, but I would like to see a little more appreciation from the platforms for their strong supporting actors. Beef up their roles a little bit more if you need to. Let us come in and create the work that we're really good at. and then remunerate us for what we do for you. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. And the petition I was talking about in the beginning, it covers that. Like, so it's 3 parts. The first section is excessive, mostly gender-based violence and storylines. Second part is wage disparity and discrimination, and it talks about how like supporting actors who work just as hard to elevate the scenes they're in are paid I can't say the word.
Yep, you're right. Disproportionately less.
Yes, less. And then there's the troubling use of AI. Or like the
AI is scary. I'm not gonna lie. It's a tool. It's here to stay. But especially with you probably have been following the was it Kelly Norwood, the AI generated, and yeah, when I saw that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
It's very scary.
Yeah, the AI and the algorithms can only do what it's told to do, but it's told to do that by watching those of us who have created the work. So the AI is not creating work; it's stealing our work, repackaging it, remorphing it, and then calling it their own, and it's not. I say this trying to have respect for the artists who work in AI, and that, but it's not. It's not a living, breathing, functioning thing. It's an algorithm. If it can be enjoyed as an algorithm, that's wonderful. That's great. But when it starts taking jobs away from us because that's all you're looking at, what can you do? You're stealing our work.
I completely get that. But yeah, who is it? Escapism via Verticals is the one who mainly posted it. And it's an open letter to all microdrama apps. And it's I don't even know how many pages this is. A lot of pages. Oh,
yeah.
If you want to scroll, that'd be great.
Yeah.
No, and we're like, there's one side that says so many of us have been introduced to verticals through stories that are not gratuitously abusive. And like the double life billionaire husband is one of those.
Yeah.
It's not. It's one of the ones that like I really was like, oh man, this platform can do things.
Yeah. Single mom by mistake. It's not gratuitously violent either. The villains do bad things, but in what you would see stereotypically, like the bad parents or the bad this or bad that, they're kind of not, and it's enjoyable. It's a fun ride.
But I've seen a lot that are like the violence that is there is necessary to be there, like a kidnapping scene. It's necessary to the story.
Yep.
But there are some where like we don't need excessive slaps.
Correct.
We don't need the banquet humiliation scenes.
Yes.
And I don't get me wrong, I love verticals. But there's things that I have seen as a viewer change since 2023 that I'm just like, why do we need this?
Yep. Oftentimes, if it has been featured in one that was really popular, it'll get recycled over and over again. And oftentimes we'll try to pull out the flashpoints of what they think. Oh, it had this. Well, we can go this. Oh, it did this. Well, we'll take it up a notch to this. And it's not always about taking up a notch, And I've been in a couple of those. Banquet scenes where everyone's just standing around yelling at each other. Degrade. And it's funny because even on the performance itself, it can take a toll on us, Lucky enough, with one of them that I was in, I was able to bond with a few of my fellow co-stars that we actually started joking about it. And that's actually where I don't know if you've seen the post that I do. Every set I'll bring my slapping hands, and we'll take photos with them. And that's part of the deal, kind of making light of the the gimmick that's used. You bring out your slapping hands, and as on one of the first big banquet scenes like that is when I got them, and brought him to set, and we all took photos with him, and it sort of broke the ice for us. It became kind of a funny thing. Um, yeah, yeah, trauma bonding.
I get that entirely too much.
Mhm.
So what you've done a variety of genres. You know, we've gone from, you know, comedies to fantasy with werewolves and, you know, billionaire CEOs.
Mhm.
What is the one like genre that you haven't done that you would like to do?
Action.
Action?
Most of my career has been in live performance, and most of it has had some element of action and stunt in it. And within the vertical world, they kind of didn't realize that's what I did. Um, but it is, you know, until recently, most of them didn't even know that I was a fight coordinator. But I've been a professional fight coordinator mainly for stage, but for most of my career. Um, and it wasn't one instead of the other. It was always a part of it. You know, I've done a lot of action stunt shows, God, for 20 years. You know, and it's something that I really enjoy, and um, and that's what I would really like to do. I would like to bite off a good solid action piece. Um, and I enjoy it. What can I say? I'm a
Have you
nerd.
ever have you been able to use that like fight coordination in verticals?
Yep, yep. Um, Vertical World has been phenomenal about hiring stunt coordinators and intimacy coordinators, especially the intimacy coordinators, because even Hollywood was having a hard time adjusting to that. And more times than not, especially larger budgets, would hire them just to tick off a box. And it's usually for like an insurance premium or something, tick off a box. You know, they say we have to have this now. It was like back during the pandemic, you had to have a lot of the COVID specialists on set, and it was literally just tick off a box. Um, Very few studios actually cared about that. I was fortunate that I worked for a studio that did care about that. So they even though you weren't treated very well on set, the company itself treated you very well. Um, and I think the world of them for that. And I'm very grateful to the vertical industry for investing in their intimacy coordinators. Um, it's a vital thing on set. Um, what I've noticed is that I've gotten to set before and say they didn't have a stunt coordinator for one reason or another. Yet it's the scene where, in this one case, I'm like, I slap 8 different times today, and I slap the same person at least 4 of these times, and I've got a couple of slaps that aren't simple slaps. And at first it was like, yeah, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Um, okay, let's have a different conversation now. I'm a
Mhm.
fight coordinator. Now I was able to like even in my fight reel, the vertical format that I've got in my fight reel, that's all my own choreography. Where I kind of adapted what I would do either on stage or in regular cinema, and adapted it for the vertical format. So instead of, you know, what I'm looking at a screen like that, you look at a screen like that, and how does that change parameters? How does it change where you cross the line? You know, and it for me it's exciting working in that. But yeah, so I did my own choreography, and then I was very fortunate that I was working with some incredible actors, and I got to talk to them like, "Hey, I do this. Can we walk through it first?" And they're like, "Thank God." And they were incredible to work with. Um, Laura Faye Smith, absolutely incredible. She got the special. It was a double slap, and she was brilliant. She made me look good. She made me look mean and evil. Um, and Faith Orta, who was also just fantastic to work with. And then the guys that came in, and when they beat me up, it was cool because we got to put some cool stuff on stage, and the they didn't have to cut away from the shots. They got to use the actual choreography. On one that I was on recently that just got released with Rebecca Stalton, um, we show up we'd had both intimacy and stunt coordination through the entire film, and then I think it was a day that was added, something happened, and we had to shoot a scene where none of the coordinators were available. So I got to work with the director on that, and really great director, Stephen Law. And I showed him my credentials. He's like, think you could do something for us? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can do something for you. And we got some good fights on that one. But once again, they were also story driven. I was working with directors that allowed me to sit down and talk to them. You know, what do you want to communicate with this act of violence? What are we supposed to do? Where's the status of the people? How is it supposed to change? If we put the status here, then when this happens later, how does that affect this? And so they let me work with them like that. The only drawback was none of those was I given a fight coordination title or the pay bump. So
Yeah, that is a downfall, but now that it's out there and more people know, especially after this, hopefully you'll get more. As someone who plays the older roles, do you find it harder to get roles than you would if you were a younger lead?
I think so. Yeah. It's strange because there's not as many of us out there, but we're also, and this happened recently in casting. It's almost like they don't care what we bring to the table. In one instance, I was given an offer that was below my daily minimum, but it was people that I'd worked with before. I really enjoyed working with them. So one of the big things was I asked them, "Could you just do my agency fee, 10% agency fee?" And they wouldn't do it. The thing is, the rate was so low that I was kind of stunned that they wouldn't add the 10%. And to be honest, that's standard in Hollywood. That is professional standard. So as an actor, when I see a listing that says all agency fees included, no, they're not. They're not. Agent fees are not included. What that is we're going to give you this much, and if you have an agent, then you can take care of them. So it comes out of us. And with so much of the industry continuously coming out of us, we have to pay for not just the regular stuff, photos, videos. We have to pay for these websites to have memberships to them just so we can find the auditions. Then we have to pay to upload all of this stuff. And now, when we do finally get a paid gig, then they're saying, well, yeah, we know that you have agents. We know that works, but we don't care. So whenever it says agency fee included, no, it's not. It means it's going to come out of us. And my rate is actually really reasonable, really reasonable. So when I was working for below rate and just asked for 10%, they said no. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to draw a line here. No, I'm not going to do it. And they did not care at all. It was just, well, thanks. Better luck next time. Hope to see you on the next one. And they went to someone else. Now, who knows? Whoever they went to could have been every bit as good. They could have been better than me. But I was the first choice. And 10% is what, kind of cut it. So it's more difficult in that respect. There are fewer strong roles or fewer good roles for people in my age bracket. I tend to play the same stock character, so I always try to do something slightly different with it. And I've got a few gimmicks that I try to sew into each one of my shows, or at least with a couple of them, I'm sewing into them now. I've only been able to do it on 2, but it's going to be kind of like my thing going forward, just to add a little bit of spice to it. Is that for any viewers that might catch one of these, I'm sewing not just a line of Shakespeare, but a very recognizable line of Shakespeare somewhere in my scenes. And so far, both times I've done it has made the final cut. And in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I wonder if anyone's going to catch this. Okay. But it's stuff like that. It is kind of fun, but also it does bring the level up, referencing great literature, referencing great moments, live within that. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Is there like a certain role that you've done that you wish would have gotten a little more attention, or one that you want to bring attention to?
Yeah. Well, first off, I will always love Alpha Ethel. There's something about that character I just love.
That first scene gets everybody, because I told my group of friends that I was interviewing you, and they're like, Toby, and they're like, because we all watch so many that we're like, okay, we're trying to keep, like, I have a list of like 300 people that I try and keep up with, which is insane especially in like the vertical space. You're like, wait, there's that many.
Yeah.
And I always, first thing is, it was, the alpha dad missing his daughter in the first scene, and everybody's like, oh, no way. And it's just, it's such I guess, an iconic scene that just keeps you standing out to people.
Yeah, it came out of both barrels blazing, came right out. You knew exactly what this entire film was going to be about from that first scene. I would love to revisit it. I've joked with Casey before that I would love to write a prequel to it, The Rise of Alpha Ethel. So you could also see the actual rise of the Alpha Alexander, why he was, revered as to what he was, not just for being a billionaire, but being the loyal, fierce warrior, and why there was that connection, why he had to help Alpha Ethel. I think that would be a great story. I think it'd be wonderful, and I'd love to revisit that. A role that I'm kind of interested to see what fan base has to say about it, and it is, and like I said, it's very much a trigger warning for it. Was recently I worked with Ashley Belote, and I think the absolute world of Ashley. She's an amazing actress, and I was cast as Harlan, her ex-husband, and it was before I knew that Ashley was cast in it. Got the role, then I got the script, and it was and actually the first couple of scenes before the paywall, and it was savage. It was savage, and I read it, and I was like, oh man, this is rough. I don't know about this. And once again, it plays back into that: is this violence gratuitous, or is this violence that has to do with the story, and will it progress the story? Will it serve a purpose? And I was really on the fence. And then I got a call from Ashley, and she was like, hey, I was just talking to the director, and he said that you might be the one cast as Harlan. And I was like, yeah. Are you playing Renee? Yes, I am. And then it was sealed from that moment on. I was like, okay, we got this. We got this. I knew Ashley. I knew I could trust her. I knew we had an intimacy director, and I knew we had a fight director. And as we were talking, I was like, there's a chance here to do some really grounded, solid work. But this scene is savage. And she's like, I agree. And she goes, I'm glad it's you because I know you and I trust you. And I'm like, that's the same thing. I know you, I trust you. And I'm also in that realm now where I'm like, well, if I turn it down, who are they going to hire? Oh, I got to take care of Ashley. I can't let something happen to her, as if I could. But so we shot that scene on the very final day, and we took the entire day to shoot that scene. And it's the work itself, I think, is some of the most grounded I've seen in verticals. The quality is very cinematic. It wasn't just set on a tripod and shot. The DP was incredible, and he pulled it off and went handheld and like really kind of shook it up and got us into it. I know I've said it before. The scene is savage. I'm her ex-husband. She comes home and I've broken into her house, and it goes from there until the hero comes in and takes me out. I'm curious because that is a different type of character than what most anyone has seen me in verticals. The way I put it was like everything he does is wrong. I hate everything this guy does, but I want to portray it in a way where you almost feel sorry for him, where there's an element where you're like, I just wish you hadn't done that. You know what I mean? I feel like we hit on that, but I would be interested to hear the fan base what they have to say. Ashley's work was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Is that the one that just came out on Dreamy Short?
I had like 4 come out at once. I think it's Net Shorts, and it was Forbidden Love with a Young CEO.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I know Ashley had one that just did it just has a preview.
Oh, yes, yes.
section of Dreamy Short.
Yeah, that's a different one. That's a different
Okay.
one. Her Forbidden Love with the Young CEO. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll
And the good part was that one fell right after that one is when I got to do Single Mom.
mhm.
And I got to do a comedy. And what I didn't realize was how much of a decompression I needed after playing Harlan. You know, because I'll be honest, you know, I grew up in a small southern town. I knew people like Harlan.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, I knew people like Harlan. And crawling into his skin for me as the person didn't feel good, but it was truthful.
And you played it to the best of your ability while also not doing it too psychotic.
Yeah, I wanted to be truthful. Like I said, there's at least one part in it when you almost feel bad for him. So we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see. Hopefully.
We'll see.
Yay.
What do you enjoy about working on verticals compared to being on a stage or being, big Hollywood?
Mm. It feels like guerrilla filmmaking to me. And I loved guerrilla theater. Basically, you put a show together and suddenly you just show up and put it up somewhere. And there's an element to it that feels very raw, very, you're not just throwing millions of bucks to solve problems. You're actually problem solving. And especially on the ones I've enjoyed the most is when you see casts come together. And what I've noticed outside of the actual filmmaking process was the biggest thing that I said that I miss from my time working in New York was in New York. I really felt like I was a part of a theater community, that I have found my tribe, you know, and I felt valuable. And I had difficulty finding that in like when I was working in Florida, and for a lot of Hollywood, I had trouble finding that. And then the vertical world comes along, and suddenly I've made these really wonderful friends that have lasted past our rap day. You know, that I can see and I can support, and that openly support me. And sometimes, you know, I can just chat for a moment, just to see how they're doing. Um, and like I said, like, you know, Ashley got a hold of me, like, hey, are you playing this role? Okay, I feel safe now. Okay, good. I feel valuable. I feel like I've got a community. Um, you know, the fan base is wonderful. As a supporting actor, I don't hear as much from the fan base, because Austin, most times, like even the platforms, they don't really advertise many of the supporting. They usually only really push or advertise the leads. Which, I mean, that's the tent poles. They hold up the production, but but I've seen more of it from the vertical world than I have from most other worlds.
I enjoy supporting. I got all glitchy for a second. I enjoy supporting the supporting roles or the smaller roles, like Brandon Lee Collins.
Yeah.
His first role was a supporting role,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh my gosh, like loved it. And then he just put out his first lead role, and I did an interview with him, literally like hours before I flew to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like Matt Van.
Hmm.
Matt Van has only been supporting. He was in one with Kirby, and he was in one
Hmm.
with Adam Santa Cruz.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
like he did such a stand-up job that in my review, like I I like pointed him out because in my longer reviews, I have overall opinion,
Hmm.
favorite scene, this, and this, and one of them it usually goes to like the leads, and I'll
Hmm.
like mention a background actor that stands out. But like he had done so well that I was like, this is all about Matt.
Yeah.
Um, and I I took a leap because I hadn't done any supporting role like interviews, and I was
Hmm.
like, you know what? And I reached out to Matt and I was like, hey, would you be willing to do this? I know you only have a couple under your belt, but like I'd love to hear your perspective. Had him on, had a great chat,
Hmm.
edited it, put it on YouTube, hoping to see him in more.
Yeah.
I'm all about supporting everyone that's in it because it's not just the lead actors doing their job. That's your job too, and you're doing the best that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like background actors, it's a little harder because they don't really credit all of those people.
Yeah, yeah.
But at least like the moms and dads and the best friends, I can find out who they are and support them as well.
Yeah, and these are some great actors. Even the ones that are just getting started, they've stepped into the game and they're playing it just like you would on a network set, and that's wonderful to see. Yeah, these are some great people.
Okay. What are some of your favorite films that you have done that you think everybody should watch?
The most recent one is Single Mom by Mistake. I loved that. I thought they were wonderful in it. I thought it was funny. Yeah, it was just wonderful.
I met Ryan and Shanna this weekend, and
yeah,
she's amazing.
Yeah.
Ryan is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy that he has some decent roles, because a couple of roles he was a pretty bad dude.
Yeah.
He was a pretty bad guy.
Yeah.
And I know it's nothing he could do, and I know he did his best ability, and he made it great. But
yeah, I think that's the common thing I'm seeing on him online, is that we want to see him in more comedy. He was great. He was wonderful, and he was great to work with. So yeah, that's the recent one that would come to mind. Like, I hope more people see that, because that one really was fun. Really talented crew. Just wonderful piece of work. It's funny because I do tend to float back to those first few. They're always so fresh in my mind because, like I said, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just happy to be there,
Mm-hmm.
I was like Guy from Galaxy Quest. Man, I'm just happy to be here.
I think it's funny that you didn't know you were a werewolf until like you were on set, and Casey was like, "Hey, did you know this?"
What? Wow, there we go.
You're like, all right, we're in it.
I'm gonna get killed off. I don't have a last name. What's my name?
Have you been able to travel to film? I don't know how often they like fly out supporting characters. I know they fly out the leads everywhere. Like I've heard Vietnam, Lithuania, China,
Turkey, Canada. Yeah,
Canada. There's someone in the Ukraine right now who's like a lead, like a main lead in, like the States. Who's up there?
I haven't, and I've been very open that I am willing and I want to. I love to travel. Love my my big gig that I was doing right before the pandemic was I was a performance director on an international tour. It was incredible. I was a performance director for a company called Feld Entertainment. Feld is the company that's owned Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, the Disney on Ice shows, Monster Jam, and all that. I was assigned to the live action show, Marvel Universe Live, and so I was with that touring. We had a couple of performance directors. We had massive cast, massive crew. And we had hit we'd hit Mexico. We'd been in the UK for 7 months, South Africa, Puerto Rico, but that's Canada, and we'd already done the national tour all over the United States, and we were on our way to Australia when the pandemic shut us down. So, yeah. So I am dying to get back out, and for Miramax, I did COVID work for them. So I was on a Guy Ritchie film in Antalya, Turkey. So that took us to Turkey for 4 months, to Doha for about a week, and then such. So yeah, I've got a passport that's just hungry for stamps.
Okay. Well, directors now, casting directors.
Yay.
So most of your roles but can be on the darker side, right? As you've been saying. How do you like separate yourself from that? Like if you've done a really, really rough scene, and you have to go home. How do you separate that?
I look at it a little bit like a suit of armor. I will build a character to the best of my ability, and then I'll step into it, walk around for a while, breathe into it, because until I step into it, it doesn't have life. And there always has to be some part of me, some part of my truth in life in it, or else it's just fake. And an instructor put it to me once, and I believe it. Um, this industry, this craft is about truth. And as long as it's truthful, it doesn't matter how big it is. That's why we have that phrase that exists, truth is stranger than fiction. However, if it's false or if there's a lie, it doesn't matter how small it is. You can see right through it. So it has to be laced with some element of truth. And you need to embrace the idea that the good, the bad at both ends of the spectrum are within you. They live within your soul, you know. And through the art of pretending, through the art of fantasy, we can occasionally allow those highest highs and lowest lows out to romp around for a while within a safe environment. For especially for Harlan, we were lucky that where we shot was pretty out there, pretty far out there. The drive back was phenomenal. I didn't have the radio on, anything, just had the windows down and just drove. The next day I got up and I went for a hike. I had to make sure I walked him off, to be honest. But yeah, for things like that, I would take some moments of serenity. And then others, because for a long time I played a role that it was the leading role of the show, but it was also a very dark show. Well, it was a very dark role. He did some very dark things, and it literally was. I had a few very specific costume pieces that I let him live within. And I don't use those costume pieces for anything else, unless I have to, do something very dark. But those are like my talismans.
Mm-hmm.
Those are what lets me permission to open that door.
Okay. What advice would you give to somebody who's trying to get into the vertical industry as an actor or an actress?
Same advice I'd give anyone, like if we're talking about as an actor, no matter what area, genre you're looking at, get training, get training, get training. Shop around for good teachers and such. I'm a huge proponent of Stella Adler technique and working on the concept of, well, it was a catchphrase. They called it the complete actor, where it wasn't just taking a scene study class, take a diction class, take a voice class, take a physical movement class, take a ballet class, take an acting class, but get in tune with your body, your voice, your breath, and your soul. Read as much as possible. If we're looking at the semantics of it, or the practicals of it, then you'll need to make sure you're on the actor websites, have updated headshots, make sure you have your slate shots available. When you do your auditions, give a damn about them, but then forget about them. You don't have to be perfect in everything. There has to be an element of giving away. So do your best, know that you did your best, and then let the universe have it. When you get on set, know your lines. Know your lines. Yes sir, no sir. Be as polite as you can, because everyone is working with struggles you don't know about. Kindness always, always. And then be prepared to have a really, really good time.
Okay. What is a quote or saying that you like to live by?
Out of chaos comes clarity.
Okay. I mean, fair. And then, do you have any questions for me as someone who watches verticals or someone who reviews verticals?
Yeah, I'm always curious as like, what do you guys want to? What would you like to see more of? What whether it's something specific or a certain genre, or what would you like to see? What stories do you want to hear told?
I want thrillers and horrors, and maybe some just pure comedies. Like we have our rom-coms, which I adore, just
Mm-hmm.
like pure comedies, like Step Brothers comedies. Like
Mm-hmm.
'cause I feel like they do great. More thrillers because there's some thrillers out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's Dungeons of Ecstasy. There's I Am Bloody Mary. Like there's some good ones out there, but I'd love to
Yeah.
see more of them. And then just
Nice.
going back to our roots of like pure romance,
Mm-hmm. Very
which
cool.
is one of my biggest things. I love a pure romance story.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Well, who
Uh,
knows? Maybe we'll write some and get them put on a platform somewhere.
Look at that. We'll write it. We'll write it up. I give my little Vertical View crew shout out because I love my group.
Yeah.
So there's obviously Aline, who is I Love
Mm-hmm.
Verticals.
Yep.
There's Escapism via Verticals, Sarah.
Okay.
There's Vertical_fan, which is Hero,
Okay.
our one fearless male of the group. We have Dahlia, Vertical Films Lover. We have Empress Liz, who is Portrait Story Diaries.
Okay.
Jen and Karen, they're This Vertical Slaps.
Mm-hmm.
You have Kay, who's Short Reel Critic.
Okay.
And then you have Megan, who is Real Drama.
Okay.
And we all do just something different. Megan, she has like these guides. Like when VertFest was coming around, she was like guide to talking to vertical actors.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, remember they're human too, if you happen to break down and do this, this, or this. Like one of them was like, you black out and ask the vertical actor to marry you. I'm here for you. I Love Verticals does her Get to Know You,
Mm-hmm.
and her she has Visit Vertalis, which is her vertical world. She'll take like a vertical star and she'll make them into like these Pokemon based or Pokemon kind of characters.
Cool.
So like Cayman, his starter is K Baby. Sam Myerson, his starter is Sam Z. Jake Hobbs, his starter is JJ. Like everyone, or Kira, her starter is Kyvie.
Cool.
So they all have like starter characters. I love Vertalis because then she has platforms
Mm-hmm.
instead of platforms. She has locations. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
I have to check it out. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
We all do something different, and
Yeah. If anyone wants to reach out, you can find me on the socials. I'm still learning the what is it, like the social media world and things like that. So there's a few that I reached out to, a few that I've talked to. But it's a wonderful world, and God knows I love to talk.
and that's okay. I met a lot of people this weekend that I didn't think I'd meet in person. So maybe next year I'll see you.
Yep, possibly so. Possibly so.
Has a weird bug. Other than that, I don't think I have any other questions, unless you
Okay.
have any for me.
No, I like I said, I love to find out like about our fan base, about and reviewers, all like that. What their interests are, what got them into verticals, what the world is like for them. Just things like that. Because outside of the vertical world, like we might not have ever made contact, might not have ever met. So I think it's just absolutely wonderful that this platform has emerged to allow us to share a little bit of life with each other and such.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm always curious about that.
If you don't have any other questions for me,
I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it.
um,
I'm incredibly grateful for you guys, and incredibly grateful that that you responded kindly when I reached out, like, "Hey, you interested?" Yay. Um,
I'm always welcome to, if you're in the vertical space and you want an interview or you just want to get my side of things, I'm always open to conversation.
that's
Even
fantastic.
if you're on set one day and you're like, hey, quick question,
Hmm.
I most likely will respond within a reasonable amount of time.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah. And once again, thank you so much.
Of
I've
course.
really
Thank you
enjoyed
for coming
chatting with
on.
you. Yay.
Yay.
Yep. That's my catchphrase. Yay. Thank you so much again. If you need anything else, please feel free to reach out. I'm just a text away. So rock and roll.
Thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful night.
You too. All right. Bye
Bye.
bye. Talk to you soon.